Everybody has intrusive thoughts. We're going about our day, we have the normal flow of our internal dialogue, and boom, we get a thought that's uninvited. Maybe it's taboo or inappropriate. Maybe it's self-doubt. Maybe it's even a thought of harming ourselves or others. Intrusive thoughts are common, but for most people, they are quickly forgotten and they don't cause discomfort. But for some of us, these ordinary intrusive thoughts don't easily go away. They become persistent and distressing, and we start to attach who we are as a person to what we think. Having thoughts that you find to be strange or even repugnant is not a problem. It's not the intrusive thought that is causing your distress. It's the way you are internally responding to your thoughts that is keeping you stuck in this unwanted negative loop. In today's video, we're going to unpack intrusive thoughts, and I'm going to give you a few tangible mindset shifts you can make to get quick relief from unwanted, obsessive, or disturbing thoughts. Stop fighting your intrusive thoughts. This is making them worse. When we have a thought that we perceive as negative, our first instinct is to try and make it go away. We'll either try and distract ourselves, or we'll start to argue with our brain and reason the thought away. We might try and come up with a plan or solve the problem that is created by our thought, but that's not our job. Accept and allow means that we are actively allowing our thoughts to exist, not wishing they were gone and not trying to change them in any way. This mindset shift will help you understand that your thoughts are not actually important and they do not require any action or response. Let me give you an example. You're in line at the grocery store. It's very busy, the line is long, and you start to get anxious. The cashier ringing people out is slow and fumbling around and just not very efficient. You have an intrusive thought that says, I really want to slap this cashier right now. That thought about slapping the cashier is not in and of itself a problem. It's not like you're actually going to do it. But the way you respond to the thought about slapping the cashier, that is what causes your distress. You start to question if you're a terrible person. You perseverate and wonder, why would I think something like that? And the more you spiral and try to suppress the intrusive thought, the stronger it gets. If you can pause in these moments and remember that your thoughts are not important and they don't mean anything, if you can accept and allow your thoughts without labeling them as good or bad, it is a lot easier to roll with the thoughts your brain gives you without becoming wound up in this web of anxiety and rumination and shame. Remember, your thoughts do not require any attention or response. They can just come and go, and that's okay. We can't control whether or not we have a thought, but we can control whether or not we buy a thought. And if you're going to buy a thought, let that be a conscious choice you make, not something your brain just does for you automatically. Practice separating yourself as a person from the things your brain thinks. If you can learn to recognize that your thoughts are not an accurate reflection of who you are as a person, this is so liberating. Just because you have a thought doesn't mean it defines you. Our minds generate a myriad of ideas, some positive, some negative, and many that are simply neutral. And in reality, who you are as a person is actually the opposite of your unwanted intrusive thoughts. Let me explain. Think about the example of having a thought about slapping the cashier. The fact that you find that thought repulsive is proof that you are not a violent person. The intrusive thought is stressing you out and making you anxious because it doesn't align with your values. If you were a violent person, you might find the thought enjoyable, or you might actually follow through with the behavior. But unwanted intrusive thoughts are not you. They are the opposite of what you want to be thinking about. They're the opposite of your desires and the opposite of your character. But because you attach your identity to your thoughts, that's causing you to fight against your thoughts, which in turn is causing your negative thoughts to stick. Think about it. Neutral thoughts don't stick. Thoughts about pencils and hamburgers and grass, they don't stick. Why is that? They don't stick because you're not fighting them. And you're not fighting them because they are neutral. But you have the power to apply that same logic to negative thoughts. Negative thoughts are only negative because of our internal perception about them. So the next time you're struggling with an intrusive thought, if you can pause and remember you are not your thoughts. This can help you to just accept and allow your intrusive thought without judgment, and it will pass. Just like all of the other thousands of neutral thoughts you have all day long that don't stick. We trick ourselves into believing that we have a lot of control over things in life. Think about it. When we excessively worry, it's almost always about the past or the future. It's never about right now. When you're laying in bed at night and you can't sleep because of intrusive thoughts, what are you usually thinking about? It's almost always one of two things. You're either ruminating about the past, replaying unpleasant events and dwelling on prior mistakes, or you are worrying about the future. You're going through a multitude of what-if scenarios and focusing on potential negative outcomes. And underneath all of that, our brains trick us into thinking we have control. We believe that if we just plan for every possible catastrophic outcome, that we can prevent anything bad from happening to us. Or if we can just figure out exactly why something went wrong in the past, we'll be okay. But your brain is lying to you. You can't go back in time and change the past, and the future is always uncertain. The next time you find yourself having intrusive, anxious thoughts, I want you to ask yourself, what is 100% within my control? Anything that is not 100% within your control, I want you to try and let it go. Remember, accept and allow your thoughts. It's okay to have worried thoughts, but you are not required to engage with them. It can also be really helpful to spend some time asking yourself, why do I need to control everything? If you struggle with perfectionism or a need for control, a lot of times there's something in our past that has contributed to this. Does it come from unresolved childhood wounds? Did you have a highly critical parent where nothing was ever good enough for them? Have you experienced trauma in your life? These are just some examples, but gaining insight into how your past has influenced your need for control can help you learn to let go. And when you have intrusive thoughts that involve worrying about the past or the future, you can get to a place where you just say, hold up, this is not helpful, I don't need to control everything, and so I'm going to choose not to engage with these thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.